Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I'm Floriesha, and in this video I'll be sharing everything you need to know before you go abroad to Korea, okay? I have so much tips, advice, like valuable information that you need to know before you go, because there are a lot of things that I experienced while I was abroad that I felt like if I had someone like myself tell me all of these things, it would have just helped my experience abroad. So whether you're visiting, traveling, or studying abroad in South Korea, this is the video for you. I have a lot of things to share with you, y'all. Like, I have a whole Google Docs, just like of a lot of stuff to share. So get comfortable, open your like notes app, get you like a pen, a book, a notebook, and sit down. Like, sit down and take all this information in. I'll try my best to not make this video long. I just like cannot promise you that like it won't be too long, but I'll try my best. Like, I promise you it's information that you just really need to know. I promise. Okay, so the first section is about like pre-departure and preparation before you go abroad. To start off, do not pack too much. Like, I would OD. Like, I think that like I was low-key packing like it was like first semester like in college period. Like, I packed so much. The way I packed like maybe 5 to 6 shoes, not needed. The way how I packed like 2 big coats, they were big coats, like the big long jacket coats. I packed like multiple pajamas. I think honestly the shoes and the jackets took up so much of my space. And when it comes to pajamas, you literally, for me personally, I wear like a rotation of like 2 to 3 pajamas. Like, again, maybe because I was just like going abroad for the first time, that like I was like, I need to be as prepared as possible. But like, low key, why are you packing that much? You're going to South Korea, the place of like everything. Like, but like, don't pack too much. Don't be like me. The things that you should pack are like body towels. I did not see any towel that was like of my like a body length at all. So I packed like 2 body towels, packed deodorants. Like, everyone or every creator that I've watched like always talked about how like there's like a lack of deodorants like in South Korea, or like I think something about like the genetics and Koreans not really like not needing to wear deodorant. I don't know. Pack your deodorant, and I got like myself like 4, basically 1 for each month. Pack sunscreen, y'all. Okay, I went with the sunscreen from Innisfree when I ran out of that, because I was like, oh, I'm in South Korea, the place of skincare and all things beauty. So I went to Olive Young to buy a sunscreen. All of the sunscreens at Olive Young turned me white. It made me look pale, like I was a ghost. And so I went to an Innisfree like franchise store in Myeongdong, and again I bought the sunscreen, and I'm telling you guys, it made me white. If like sunscreens that turn you white, not a problem for you, cool. But like for my melanated folks, get your sunscreen, pack 3 or 4 of them, or however long you're staying. Just make sure to get like a whole bunch of them before you go. Oh, pack your makeup. Probably also another thing, if you're melanated and you have a darker skin complexion, pack your makeup. You probably won't be able to find a foundation. Again, it's just like maybe because like Korea is slowly having products made for melanated folks down like over there, but just come prepared with your makeup. Like hair products, as a black girl, there are not like random things that I could just put on my hair. So come with all your hair products. And then I got this like special, like there's a outlet. I'll like put it like right here for you guys. So like I used this outlet when I was abroad in South Korea, and like I used it everywhere. Because like it also was able to charge like 3 or 4 or 5 things all at once, and it was like very fast. Maybe I also like probably link my suitcase again just in case if you guys want to see it, because I really do think that like having 2 sides open on like of the suitcase creates more like room to add more things. And then I also bought like suitcase bags to like organize my clothes inside the suitcase too, and I'm pretty sure I bought them from Amazon, so I'll also link them. I would also like say that like the things that you pack depends on the semester that you're going. So I went from February to June, and so when I came, it was mad cold in Korea. It was like really cold. So I had a few like winter things, like the winter jackets. I had like Uniqlo heat tech just for like my pants. I had like just like a few sweaters and whatnot to like help me during like the cold months like February, March. But then like things got really hot really fast in Korea, so most of my clothes were for the spring and summer, so like April, May, June pretty much. So what you pack depends on how long you're staying, if you're staying for a year, and like what seasons you're going to Korea at, pretty much. I will just say, like, make sure you have good walking shoes. The amount of stairs you go up, the amount of stairs, the amount of hills, the amount of walking you do period in Korea when it comes to like Korean like transportation and like walking up and down the stairs, like going from like train to train, or like even like walking distances. Like you're always walking in Korea, especially if you don't have a car when you're studying abroad. Make sure you have good walking shoes, especially if you want to go hiking, camping, like all those fun things. Well, if you like the nature, definitely get your shoes. I was not that type of girly, but and then a good like everyday shoes I feel like would be like really good to have, like just like casual shoes. Like I love my Air Forces. They go with anything and everything. And then I also love like my Converses, the one that has the platform. I also like show a picture like here too. Good everyday shoes. And then like just have like one like going out shoes, like, you know, like especially if you like just want to get fancy for some reason, whether you're going clubbing or going to like a fancy event or whatever. Just make sure you have like a variation of shoes. Another tip that a lot of people kept telling me like after I came back was that like they went with an empty suitcase, and I was just like, smart, so that like they kind of like filled up that suitcase when they came back. Personally, I don't think I would have been able to do that even going. Maybe anything is possible, but like if you can go with an emptied suitcase, that's even better. And honestly, I would say like don't worry about like small things like toiletries, like laundry detergent, or like toothpaste or mouthwash, or even like hand lotion or chapstick, because like I feel like those are all things you can buy in South Korea. Like just try to like minimize the amount of stuff that you bring from your like native country. Honestly, I think it's just important to bring all the essential important things that are like a must-have for like your routine and to keep yourself looking beautiful, to feel comfortable in your body. Like just like those are the most important things in my personal opinion. And also there's like Daiso and Artbox a few walks away from Yonsei campus. Like I kid you not, well, if you're going to Yonsei, you could be going to KU or another university, but especially in Sinchon, like there's everything. But like Daiso and Artbox especially, I feel like are things that you can buy like toiletry wise, or like for like house stuff wise. Daiso and then Artbox is like school supplies or like stationery stuff that like you can buy. And every place that I mention, I will add like a Naver link so that you can like use it and find it when you're abroad in South Korea. The next section is like cell phone service advice. Guys, the amount of challenges that I faced coming with my iPhone 14 was like crazy. I do not recommend going to Korea with a phone that has an eSIM, aka electronic SIM card.
Not smart.
One, it's costly. I will say that it cost me like around like 50,000 won to almost like 60,000 won for 1 month service. It could be internet and phone, but who's calling me in Korea? Like everyone uses Kakao, right? Like when I was looking back at the expenses of how much I spent for the electronic SIM card was too much. And so my brain was braining a little bit like when I was packing. And so I brought my iPhone 13 just as a backup. I was like, I don't know what could happen. And I just felt like maybe like instinctively I knew I was gonna be facing issues with coming with a phone with the electronic SIM card. So I would try to avoid that, like if you can. Like if you can't, you can't, you know? There is a place near Yonsei called Uri Mobile. And it's like maybe like a 10-minute walk or 15-minute walk from Yonsei, and I'll put the location down below. For a service that lasted me maybe like a month and a half or almost like 2 months, it cost me $30 or less. Like I cannot remember exactly because I felt like I got it like in May, like right before I was going to leave Korea. Like I left Korea like June 22nd, and I think the plan ended around the time that I left. Or, yeah, actually I think it lasted even after I left. And $30 for almost 2 months is nothing. Personally for me, because in America, my current phone service is like $65 for 1 month. So half of that I was like, perfecto. I was so happy in comparison to what I was paying, which was like 55, like around 50,000 won to 60,000 won, which was too much. It was just way too much for my eSIM. So yeah, like I said, Uri Mobile, I love it. Foreigner friendly. They speak English. Well, they spoke English to me when I went, I think because Sinchon is such like a foreign international like populated place, they'll definitely have someone that can speak English to you when you go. Cost of studying abroad in Korea: flights, food, and more. I'm gonna break down how much I spent. So on average, I spent $1,113 per month. Mind you guys that like that number is me like splurging. Like when it came to like South Korea and being abroad, I did everything that I wanted to do. Like I'm being honest, I did not budget, and I wish I did when I was abroad, to see like how much I was spending and to make sure that I just wasn't like spending carelessly. But I felt like whatever I needed to get, or whatever I wanted, I just like gave it to myself, because I felt like this was like a one lifetime opportunity, like being in South Korea, and like it was just like such a dream come true that like if I wanted to travel to Jeju or Busan or go to my first like not K-pop, or like just like a Korean music festival, like I wanted to do those things. So I feel like if you do budget, this number could be a lot less, like maybe like 700, 800, because that was like around how much I spent my first month. There was like $895. Both April and May I spent 1,200, and then in June I spent 1,000. And honestly, most of my money went towards like food. If you didn't know, Yonsei doesn't have a meal plan, and that was actually one of the things that I was very nervous about, like making sure that I had the financial means to buy myself food, because at my university we have our meal plan and we have points system and yada yada, right? But at Yonsei there's no meal plan. And I will say that the food at Yonsei is mad cheap. It's so cheap. Like I was looking back at my statements, and a meal at the cafeteria ranges from $5 to maximum of $15 USD, which is crazy. So in terms of my flight was $2,500, only because one, I bought it in December, which was only like 2 months before I flew out to Korea, which I felt like was crazy. I think a part of me did not want to buy the plane ticket. Like it felt real, like buying the ticket meant that I was going. There was no getting out of it. And a part of me was like super nervous, but like just as excited to go abroad to South Korea. Like if you're watching this and you're planning to go to Korea, if you feel the same way, but guys, I was scared. Like I was scared and I was excited. So I felt like buying the plane ticket, like I said, like solidified that I was going. So I waited too long. Yeah, but also like the study abroad program that I went with, CIEE, they apparently had $1,000 flight discount that I just did not use. I just never saw the email or whatever, but that definitely could have lowered down the pricing of my flight. And when it came to like choosing airlines, I asked my Korean friends and they all said like Delta or Korean Air or Asiana. For me, my priority was comfort. I wanted to make sure that I was comfortable sitting down for 14 hours. I have never sat down in my life for a 14-hour flight, okay? Like the longest I've sat down is like 6 hours or 8 hours. So I was so nervous and I have flight anxiety. I hate flying. So I didn't care how much the flight was, or I mean, yes and no, but like, and I flew with Korean Air / Delta, and they fed me like 3 times. They gave me slippers, a blanket, an eye mask. The flight was like very comfortable. Ultimately, I was happy with my choice, but not happy with how long it took me to buy the ticket. Laundry wasn't free while I was abroad in South Korea. I remember like reloading my like laundry card with maybe like 10,000 won to 20,000 won every time, and I feel like I've done laundry like maybe not that much, like every 2 weeks or even like once a month. Like I don't know, because I brought so much dang clothes. I didn't have to do laundry so regularly. That's how much I spent on laundry. And then when it came to my tmoney card, I think this is also where most of my money went. I was uploading maybe like 10,000 to 20,000 won every time as well, because that's all I use. I use the bus, I use the train, the taxis to get around South Korea. So that's also where most of my money went. Now on to like exchange and like bank info. So just as a backup, I came with $500 USD like on hand, like serving as like emergency money for me, just in case I didn't have time to go to the ATM and take money out. Like I was just trying to like prepare myself with anything, just in case like I just needed money like immediately. So if you didn't know, you can exchange USD money for Korean won on Yonsei campus. There is like an Uri bank. I think it's like in the student union building, but it's just on the like ground level. I'll put the location in the description box below so that you guys can go to it. And I went there like maybe like 3 times, 4 times to exchange like $100 USD for like a bunch of Korean won. Like I felt rich holding on my Korean won. I was like, yeah, definitely go there. It's so convenient. It's super close if you're going abroad to Yonsei University. This is how I spent money in Korea. So I came with 2 credit cards. One was the Discover Student credit card and the other one was my Capital One card. And both of them didn't have an international fee. Make sure that your credit cards don't have an international fee so they don't charge you for making purchases outside of the US or your native country. I will say that the Discover Student credit card sometimes didn't work in certain places. So I just started to solely rely on my Capital One card. And I also came with my debit card. So I came with 3 cards. And the debit card was the most important one because that was how I took out money from Uri Bank ATMs that were around Korea. While I was abroad, my card was being used for scam purposes. I don't know, like it was someone was just taking money out of my card. And that was like so inconvenient and I would have to wait and depend on them to get Korean won. And I hated that. But just make sure hopefully nothing happens to your card or maybe make sure you have a backup. Okay, the next section is living and studying at Yonsei University. I'm gonna try to be brief on this because I already wrote a whole blog post. If you want to see, you can check it out here. I'll link it in the description box below. But I guess I'm gonna talk a little bit more about my experience living in the Woojungwon dormitory. I don't want to like talk down on Woojungwon. Like my experience was my experience. Do I regret choosing Woojungwon? Maybe. I feel like it made my experience. Like I feel like any experience, good or bad, like is an experience. For the folks that are gonna live in Woojungwon, this is specifically for people who are studying abroad at Yonsei University. So if you choose to live in Woojungwon, I'm just gonna tell you, baby, it's on a hill. It's on a steep hill. Like that, I've never seen a hill like the one I've built a very interesting relationship with that's near Woojungwon. The hill is disgustingly steep. And like at the end of my semester, my calves were looking so good. Like honestly, I feel like I can't show y'all for free how good my calves looked at the ending of the semester. Like they looked so good. Like if I show you guys, I might show you guys, maybe, we'll see. Like I'm not even joking with y'all. If you want to have some stinking good looking calves, if you want to like, again, just increase steps you have per day. If you want to be active, walking to and from main campus to your dormitory, Woojungwon is for you. Woojungwon is for you, okay? You're literally right next to the athlete's dorm. It's crazy. There is a convenience store inside of Woojungwon, but it's nothing compared to the convenience store that's in SK Global House. I kid you not, like the convenience store in Woojungwon, it's like half a room. So one half of the room is like the microwaves, the stove, like the kitchen, like the what you call it, like the common room, whatever. Like I guess like you come there, you sit, you eat, you cook your food or whatever. The other half is like the convenience store. They do replenish it a lot. You can buy snacks, candy, chocolates, laundry detergent, I think pads, frozen foods, stuff like that. Like it's there, but it's nothing compared to the big convenience store that SK Global folks have right below them. Nothing compared. And they do offer you a pillow, a pillowcase, a fitted sheet, and a comforter. I think one of the cons, the biggest cons of living in Woojungwon as a foreigner is the curfew. And when I went abroad, the curfew was from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Mind you guys, I have never had a curfew. In high school, I had a curfew, but in college, there's no curfew. No one's telling you when you can and cannot go outside, right? So I feel like, personally, I feel like as a foreigner or an international student, that may be something that you have to get used to. But also, if you're a person who wants to go clubbing or like doesn't want to be like a timer, pretty much, Seoul, like nightlife is it's beautiful. It's so fun. It's so cool. So yeah, if that's something that's gonna bother you, then definitely don't consider Woojungwon. Cause like when I tell you, like you can't go in or out of Woojungwon for that time frame. And it's only 3 hours, but it makes a huge difference. And I did get locked out a couple of times. I have videos where I talk about it and I'll like link it in a card like right here. But you also live with domestic students. There's a shuttle bus that does stop right exactly in front of Woojungwon, but that thing be packed. That thing be packed to the brim. Like sometimes you get in the shuttle bus with the athlete students that live right next to you, and then there's another dormitory called Muwak, I believe. That's where the shuttle begins. So it begins at Muwak, and then it comes to Woojungwon, and then it goes to main campus. I'm telling you, if it's like hot prime time, what do they call it, like rush hour time for like the students, it's going to be very packed there. Because Woojungwon is like uphill, like very far from main campus, for classes, I made sure to leave 30 minutes to 45 minutes to get to class on time, because that's how long it took me to get to main campus. And guys, I'm not a slow walker. Well, that's up to debate. It took me a while to get to main campus because of how far Woojungwon is. I feel like SK Global housers or residents are a little bit closer to main campus. No, they are closer to main campus. They're closer to everything. Keep that in mind. And when it came to like finding my roommate, I actually like pulled up in the DMs of my roommate. I literally found her, such a charm, such a gem. So all the people that were in my study abroad program for that specific semester, we all found each other on Instagram, and we made a group chat of all the people who were living in SK and then Woojungwon. And I was like, maybe I should like find my roommate before I even get to Woojungwon, because I was like, I'd rather know them than to not know them when I get there. So I literally just picked up vibes. I was just like, which person looks like a vibe? And my roommate was a vibe. And I DM'd her and I was like, hey, like, you know, would you want to like room with me at Woojungwon? And she was like, sure, but like she asked me questions about like my preferences and like, you know, what time I go to bed, or like reasonable questions that you should like ask someone before you decide to have them as a roommate. And I will say Woojungwon is mad quiet, and I think that's one of the pros of Woojungwon too. Like if you are a person that needs to have like a quiet environment, Woojungwon is it for you. Now I'm going to talk about the advantages of studying abroad with CIEE, my study abroad program. So like I said earlier in the video, you have the possibility of getting $1,000 flight discount, which is like a huge difference. Like, and then like you get $200 off when you apply to the Gilman scholarship. Whether you receive it or not, you still get $200 off. Honestly, I will tell every student, it doesn't matter if you're getting $100 or $200 off of like your expenses for study abroad. Every penny counts. That's how I was able to go to South Korea without paying a dime. I didn't pay anything, and I'm just so blessed and like honestly very lucky to have been able to do that. I was able to do that because I used up every opportunity to decrease my expense and get scholarship funds to help my expenses abroad. And then I also have my own like referral code that if you use it, you also get an additional $200 off for your fees with CIEE. So I'll also link that down below. And then like CIEE, they host like exclusive events for their students. So like they have like trips to the countryside, they have trips to museums, they have like a K-pop week. What's crazy is that like we got to learn the choreography for Hype Boy by a choreographer that worked with New Jeans, which was so cool. Like I was like, what? Like that was really fun. They have all of these exclusive events just for you if you study abroad with them. Also, CIEE helps you secure housing. That's a huge advantage because a lot of the people who I knew that didn't go with the study abroad program told me that securing housing on Yonsei campus was really challenging, and so they had to live off campus, which honestly, living off campus is not bad necessarily. Honestly, it's kind of like up to you if you have the financial means to do that. I was studying abroad with the program and I was getting scholarship money to live on campus, so it was perfect for me. But I had like some friends that lived off campus and it like worked perfectly for them. But also like having CIEE staff there, they kind of like felt like a safe haven. Like if anything happened to me, I knew that I had a group of teachers, of staffs that were meant to help me. Like they help you with anything and everything. You have questions, you go to them. If some emergency pops up, you can go to them. And I felt like that lifted a lot of weight or like stress or anxiety off my shoulder. Like, and you also get assigned a soulmate, like a SEOUL, like soulmate, which is so cool, which is like a native Korean, and you get to meet with them, I think bi-weekly or monthly, I guess depending on like both of y'all's schedule. And I had my soulmate and she was so nice. She actually bought me like a plushie And we met, and she also gave me like my Korean name, which is really cool. Like it was such a cool experience, and it was so cool to just talk to a native Korean and like have conversations with them. We didn't have conversations in Korean. I guess I remember her telling me, she's like, oh, my English is so bad, and I'm like, no, your English is perfect. It was like, but it was like so cool. So yeah, CIEE gives you the opportunity to like meet native Koreans and develop relationships with them. Now the next section is daily life and social scene. So now I'm gonna give you guys a bunch of places that I ate at like near Yonsei, because I remember like getting like DMs or I guess questions from you guys of like, where did you eat, where did you go to study, da 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 da. So basically I'm gonna list all the places that I went to that are no more than 10 minutes away from Yonsei. So there is 맛있는 순두부. The food was good. Like it's like was made by like these Korean women. They would just chef it up in the back of the kitchen. It's just so good food, and it's honestly every time I went there, it was always packed with like international students. And then there's 김내 sinchon, and guys, I went there almost every day. The food was so good. Like it felt like home cooked food, and it was like so affordable. And like literally when you cross the street, like heading into Sinchon from Yonsei, it's, I kid you not, like a 3-minute walk. I went to Kimne almost twice a week. I loved it there. And then I went to like Lord's Sandwich. I feel like that was low-key kind of like Americanized. You get like a sandwich, you get some french fries. It was very filling. The proportions always filled me. And like Lord's Sandwich is near SK Global House. So I went there usually like before I had my KLI class, or even like after I had my KLI Korean class. And then I went to this like Samwigosu. I could be pronouncing it wrong, but it was a great place to go to. Like most of the times I ate alone. My other friends, I like had different like schooling scheduling. Honestly, I felt like I didn't really see much of my friends during the week, so I mostly ate at places alone, which honestly was fine to me because a lot of Koreans like eat alone, or the places that I went to, a lot of people were eating alone. This place is like specifically like was like made for people like eating alone. A great place to go to. Now I'm gonna share my favorite places on Yonsei campus and Yonsei events that I attended. Yonsei Commons is the place to be. Like that was the first place I was in and out at like during my first week. I went to Yonsei Co-op, like which is like the Yonsei like merchandise store, and I bought like the varsity crew jacket. Like this jacket, that jacket is so cool. Like it just made me feel like I was like a Yonsei student. I mean, like I was like a Yonsei international student, but like it made me feel like I was one of them, you know? Like I feel like it just makes you feel like in community with the other Yonsei students. I loved it. So, and mind you guys, it's actually pretty affordable. Like I know people who got like 2 jackets. I was like, okay, I don't like it that much. I felt like I only would be wearing it at Yonsei. I'm pretty sure it's maybe like 55,000 won or whatever, or like maybe between 50,000 to 55,000 won, which was like $35 to $40 USD, which is to me nothing compared to how much Brandeis was charging for a jacket similar to this. But the Yonsei jacket, a must have. Definitely like run and go get it when you get there. In the Commons, there's also like the shuttle bus stop. You would wait for the shuttle to like go back to Woojungwon as well. Now I'm gonna share a bunch of places that I studied at on Yonsei campus. In the Yonsei Commons, I studied a lot at the Global Lounge. I'm pretty sure like this like section of Yonsei is like specifically for like foreigners or like international students, exchange students, or like visiting students. And I would just like see like students come and like sit and do work. It was pretty quiet all the time. I also like spent an insane amount of time at the Mahogany inside the Commons. I like fell deeply in love with Mahogany. Like I love the cafe culture in Korea, or like the cafe culture like period in general. So I just like love sitting down in Mahogany, getting myself like a latte and a pastry and sitting down and do my homework. And I'll like show you guys like a bunch of photos. Like I went there so many times. Me and Mahogany, we're in like in a tight-knit like relationship. I love Mahogany and I miss her. I want to go back there. And then I spent a lot of time at the Starbucks, also in the Commons too. That's another place that I went to study at a lot. And then I would also go to like the business major building, which it's near the student union building, but the business building is so pretty and a lot of students go there to study. I would also go to the engineering building, which had a bigger Mahogany. Like it was like 2 floors. I was like, perfect. Again, I didn't see a lot of international students, but honestly, I didn't care. I love me some mahogany, so I was up in there. I would go there early in the morning before my class around like that area, and I would sit there and eat, get ready, like speak to family, friends at home, and like do some homework. Just a vibe. It was a vibe. I love Yonsei's library. Go to Yonsei's library. It's the most exquisite library I've ever seen in my life. The library, I believe, is like more than 8 floors or more than 7 floors. And I would go to the library to study, but in the library, you have to like schedule places to study at, and I was too lazy to learn how to do that. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go up to the rooftop. So I'd always go to the rooftop that had a cafe there that you could just like sit down and do homework at all the time. And then I went to Peter Pan. There's a Peter Pan cafe, which is like right next to the business major building. Again, I would go there, get some pastries, and sit down and eat and do some work. Yes, that's pretty much all the places that I went to on campus to study at. Now I'm going to talk about like my favorite cafeterias on Yonsei campus. Just if you guys wanted to know, because again, you guys asked me like name all the places that I went to on campus. The first cafe that's my favorite is the Woojungwon cafeteria, and that cafeteria low-key was like a gem hidden. Like, and I'll show you where Woojungwon is. But it's pretty much like an all-you-can-eat. Like you pay, it's like a buffet style. You pay for your ticket, you get in line, and when I tell you the line is like almost out the door. Like it's mostly domestic students there. Like there was like no like international students there, so you know the food is good. You know the food is good. So you go there, and it's like, again, buffet style. You get as much rice, protein, or whatever. Like you just get everything, right? And then they give you like, I feel like maybe like a soup, and then they give you like fried egg, and then obviously you get kimchi with everything. You kind of like sit down, but basically it's like better than the like other cafeterias because you place as much food as you want. Like there's no like portion given to you, and I loved going there. My second favorite is Woojungwon. I could be pronouncing these wrong, guys. I went there like a lot, especially in between classes when I was hungry, and I'm pretty sure it's on the right side of the student union building, and it's like the cafeteria that has like Japanese, Western, and like Korean food. Like it's like a variation of all three. The food was good. Like everything that I got there was so good. And then the second one is Goulsem, and that's on like the right side of the student union building. No, on the left. If you're in front of the student union, Buulsem is on the right side, and then Goulsem is on the left side. The left side cafeteria, I'm gonna say, because I feel like I'm butchering these names really badly. They have like a lot of like pasta, and then like rice dishes that were like, I don't know the name for the dishes, but it was like very like pasta and like rice like type of dishes. Both are pretty much good and like affordable like to eat at. And then I also went to Yonsei's like cheering event. It was like Yonsei versus Korean University cheering event. I have a vlog showing the entire event, and so I'll put it up here. Okay, now I'm gonna share my go-to study spots in Korea that are outside of Yonsei campus. And there are so many study cafes in Sinchon. Like I'm only naming like 5 of them, and there's more than that. So honestly, feel free to explore them at your own pace. I do also have like a blog where I wrote about like cafes that I loved in Korea. So my first favorite is Cafe 3F. I loved Cafe 3F. I love the playlist. I love the staff. Like I feel like the owner, like she remembered me because of how frequent I went to the cafe. Like I loved it here. I went to dabang a lot, and such a pretty cafe to go to. It's like so high up that you can see a lot, and I think you could probably see a lot of like Yonsei campus too when you're there. But a great like soothing cafe to like go to. I love it there. And then there's also Cafe Namu, which is a 24-hour cafe. I never stayed up 24 hours. And then I went to like Seoul Forest. It's not a cafe, it's literally honestly like a park. I went to Seoul Forest a lot to do homework, especially just like study Korean and to like study in nature, which I really enjoyed. I went to Gabby, and it's another like amazing calm atmosphere place to go and do homework, but their waffles chef kisses. Definitely go there and do some homework. Now I'm just gonna talk briefly about like clubbing in Korea. I had so much fun. Like that was my first time, I guess, like honestly, like going clubbing. Like low-key, yeah, like that was my first time like going clubbing, and I would always go in groups like just to be safe. And just because you're in Korea doesn't mean like you like just like throw away like all like common sense stuff that you have around like safety, like holding on to your drinks, making sure you have your purse, making sure that you have your jacket, like like don't just throw those away and like, you know, like just because you're in Korea, just because it's safe. And I'll just like name a few of my favorite clubs. I'm not gonna go into them, but there's B1, Mad Holic, XXX, the friendly one. There's a foreign one, so there's a XXX like domestic Korean one, and then there's like a XXX like foreigner one, I guess, then Times, and then Zen. And so Itaewon, Hongdae, and Gangnam are like all places to like go clubbing at. And I will say Times is in Gangnam and the rest are all in Hongdae. I didn't really go clubbing in Itaewon. I wish I did, because of how like foreign friendly it is, but next time. Okay, now these are apps that I used a lot in Korea. So I use Papago a lot for translation, just super useful to have. Then I use Naver Maps a lot. A lot of people argue that Naver Maps was better than Kakao Maps. I don't know why, but honestly, I agree. Naver Maps is better. And then I use Uber. So Uber works in Korea. And then I use Shuttle Delivery, which is like a food delivery app that I guess a lot of foreigners use in Korea, probably for like card like reasonings. I actually don't know why, but a good app to have. Then obviously Kakao Talk. Everybody use Kakao Talk. And then Kakao T. And Kakao T is better than Uber, I would argue, because there's more Korean taxis using Kakao T than Uber. Especially during the nighttime when you're trying to find an Uber, you're probably most likely to find a Kakao T taxi than an Uber taxi. These are accounts that you should follow to like stay in tune with like global and international events and like updates and information, specifically when studying with Yonsei University. The first one is Mentors Club, and I'll put the ads like on the screen. And Mentors Club is actually really cool. They threw a party for the start of the semester the time that I went, and like international students that wanted to go were there. Like it was a bunch of people. The fact, like I remember, I have a whole vlog about it, but a pretty cool group or community or club to join, especially if you want to build relationships with native Koreans that also speak English. And then there's like the Yonsei University Office of International Affairs, which is Yonsei at Yonsei Study Abroad. Then there's Yonsei Global One-Stop Service. And then there's also Seoul CIEE if you study abroad with them. And then obviously follow Yonsei official Instagram account. Now this section is about like culture and challenges. So now I'm gonna like talk about like culture shocks or like things that I guess that I experienced that was different from like societal and like culture norms that exist within the US, or things that I like had to get used to like living in South Korea. So like while I was in Korea, I realized like there's this like emphasis on collectivism versus like individuality. I feel like in America it's almost like everyone is out for themselves. Like this is a very like individual like attitude. Yeah, I'm not thinking about we, I'm thinking about me. But in Korea it's like when you go outside, everything is about we, or kind of like you. Like I make sure that I'm not doing anything that's out of convenience for you or for the public or for society. And I feel like these small things like show up, like being quiet in buses and trains or like public transportation, like not talking too loud. Even like with the trash system that they have that is I heard is very strict. Like those small things that you do for the benefit of all, for the benefit of us, is something that I had to get used to, or like just a difference that I saw in comparison to like US culture. And then another thing that I guess like I had to get used to was like the mannerisms in South Korea. So like bowing versus waving. Honestly, I feel like I picked that up like very fast. Like anytime I entered somewhere, you know, just like bow. Even though I haven't been there in 3 years, I think when I do something to someone, like I give someone something, or someone says thank you to me, I kind of like do this all the time. I don't know why I haven't like gotten rid of it yet, but yeah, that was something that I got used to very quickly. And then another mannerisms of like receiving things with 2 hands. I think took me a little while, but I was very conscious about the ways in which I interacted with native Koreans because I didn't want to come off as offensive. So I think that like every time I was like doing something, I was like, okay, am I doing this right? Like again, like just like like receiving things with two hands, or like doing the this, which I still do. It's like a habit of mine that I have not gotten rid of. I don't know, I think that's one thing I really admire about like the Korean culture and language, is that respect is embedded in the culture, especially respect to like elderly, or just like respect to like each other, which I feel like kind of like lacks in American culture. Another thing that I had to get used to that took me a while was like not making eye contact with strangers. I'm a person like if we like make eye contact by accident, like I'm going to smile. Like just to let you know, like no harm. Like it's actually not that serious to make eye contact, but in Korea it's like, oh, eye contact is such like an intimate thing, or eye contact kind of like awkward situation to happen between like strangers. Like eye contact is only supposed to be made with people that you know, like your friends, your family, not strangers, which I guess I understand. Also, I think back to like the train system, like, or the ways in which like again like Korean people operated like as a society as one, like the fact that people lined up to get onto the train, crazy. People allowed everybody to get off the train first, and then we all collectively got on. Wow, it's like people have common sense, you know? Like in America, no one does that. I have not seen anyone line up to get on the train. I have not seen people wait for the other people to get off the train to get on the train. Like, wow. I think that like also like most of the time, like I said, it was quiet on trains, buses and stuff like that. People did like bump into me and push into me a lot, especially the ajishis and the ajumas. One thing I will say in Korea, get used to no personal space. That does not exist. It does not exist. And I think that's something that I had to get used to. I feel like as an American, I'm very like, this is my box. This is my bubble. I feel like in Korea, I had to get used to like people pushing against me or like bumping into me, and like that's just part of normal. Like some people did bow, like they would be like, you know, I'm sorry, and I'd be like, oh, it's okay. Like that felt cool, but like I said, the ajumas and ajishis, they just like and I'm like, okay, cool. It's okay, it's all right. Also, yeah, just in Korea, like I just had to mind my business. When awkward situations happen in Korea, I feel like it's normal to not acknowledge it, to keep going about your day, to act as if nothing happened. If someone fell, someone tripped, if you see someone, I guess like, I don't want to say need of help, because to me that's wrong. To me personally, I want to help someone if they need help, but like I guess for like personal like incidents like that, like accidents like that, you just keep going about your day. You just don't pay attention to it, and that's something that I had to get used to, because I'm always like, are you okay? Like, do you need help? That's just something that has been ingrained in me, but I felt like I had to use my discernment on like when I used it. But I feel like I never did it in Korea unless it was like a foreigner, because I also didn't want to like approach a native Korean and then being like, why is she here, da 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 da. So I just wanted to be like, all right. And then a lot of people talked about like cults in Korea, and like, I don't know, guys, maybe I did have some people try to recruit me, and that's the thing. My friends would be like, don't talk to them. And I'm just like, I can't just like be like, no, like I can't do it. So I'm just like, okay, cool, da da da. But obviously in my mind, I know like I'm not saying yes to this. I'm just letting you chat because I'm like, I just feel like it's rude to like just like shut you off. So I guess I was approached a lot by people for like things. I could not tell you because they were just chatting, but I didn't know what they were saying to me. I just knew that at the end of what their whole spiel of what they were talking about was a flat no. It was a flat no. So yeah, that also happened a bunch of times, honestly. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the challenges that I face as a foreigner in Korea. And the first one is making friends with Koreans. Like, was something that I challenged with. Like, if it weren't for CIEE, I wouldn't have been able to talk to native Korean. One of the reasons why probably was because of like my level in Korean. Like, not being able to be conversational in Korean definitely impacted my ability to make friends with Koreans. I will say though that like if you're able to have classes with domestic students at Yonsei, or domestic students with whatever like university you're going to, it will definitely help you with building friends and making friends like with Koreans, because I know of like some of my friends who had like domestic Korean friends because they took classes with them. And then my second challenge was finding clothes. As a curvy girl, that was really hard. Like, shopping wasn't something that I hated necessarily in Korea. I just knew that I'm like, all right, like I'm probably only gonna be able to find like tops. Just being a curvy girl, period, it's really hard to find bottoms, and that's something I struggled with. And maybe I didn't do a good job of like finding places with clothes that fit me like nicely. And honestly, this is not something that I only struggle with in Korea. This is something I struggle in America like with, because my waist and thigh ratio is like different. Clothes are not made sculpted perfectly for my body type, which is a whole thing. So it wasn't something that I was like, oh my god, like I left America to come to experience like challenges shopping in Korea. No, it was in both places I experienced challenges with shopping. To find clothes, I went to Gangnam, the COEX mall in Gangnam, and I would go to H&M because that's when they had like large or like mediums or extra large to try on pants. Honestly, I struggled with pants, finding pants and dresses that fit me. Tops, accessories, anything that didn't involve my bottom half of my body was easy to find in Korea. But I have heard that Korea has been getting better with having size inclusive clothing. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks and whatnot. So like if you're curvy or whatnot, definitely do your research and try to see like what clothing brands are like size inclusive. Make sure to bring staple top and bottom items so you don't like feel, I don't know, it's just like you feel comfortable in your body and like comfortable in the way you show up. And then the last challenge that I faced in Korea was like getting my hair done. Like honestly, I'm gonna be vulnerable with you guys, and if you're not a black girl, this may not apply to you, so you can skip to the next part where I'm like, yeah, you can skip to the next part. I did not want to deal with my natural hair in Korea. I did not want to style it. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to comb it. I was just like, no. I didn't want to do it. And I guess a part of me, it's not like I was like ashamed of my natural hair. I was like, I'm already in a homogenous country, and I don't know, maybe like this is something I need to work on. I just felt like I just didn't want to like deal with any challenges of like feeling ostracized or like feeling like the odd one out because of my hair. Like the ways in which I want to style my hair take up too much time. Like doing something like this took me time. That was something I did not want to spend doing abroad. I did not want to wake up early in the morning. I did not want to be late up at night, gelling, parting, combing. It's a whole process. You know how much it is to sit there and comb through your hair, to part it, to style it. I'm not that girly. I was not that girly when I was abroad. I definitely could have gotten my hair done in braids again if I didn't want to deal with my natural hair, because of the like influx of like braiding shops that are in Itaewon. Like there are a bunch of black girls that I knew while I was abroad, and a bunch of them got their hair braided while they were in Korea. I don't know why I just never just took at least one day to take it out, make an appointment, and get my hair done. I think that's just like I think I was just being lazy, and I just really didn't want to like even do a wash day in Korea. I think I just didn't want to do that. So I do have a business that one of my friends recommended, and I'll like put a screenshot here. It's a business that she went to get her hair done, and her hair looked good every single time. Like her braids ate. So you could definitely go here, and also like do your research on TikTok. There's a bunch of like braiding shops in Itaewon. Like there's I feel like there's a huge like African population in Itaewon. So definitely like do your research on TikTok, find the braiding hair shops, or try to go to this one as well. Okay, this is the final section of the video. This is going to be like a rapid Q&A and like final thoughts. A lot of you guys asked me, is Yonsei hard to get into for international students? And a lot of people will ask me like, what were your GPA? Like what were your extracurriculars and da 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 da. So I'm gonna tell you really fast. So at the time I had a GPA of 3.9. I was a double major in sociology and race, media, and communication. I was an office assistant. I was a peer mentor for a program dedicated to first generation and low income students. I was an orientation leader for domestic students and international students, and I was also a vice president of a student organization. Honestly, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like what you do doesn't really matter. All you need to make sure is that you meet the requirements of your study abroad program, of the study abroad office at your university, and Yonsei's SAY program. Those are the 3 things you need to make sure you meet the requirements for, right? And so my study abroad program had its own requirements for studying abroad. So the minimum GPA was a 3.0 out of a 4.0 GPA like scale. That was from my study abroad office at Brandeis. Then CIEE, the study abroad program that I traveled with, had its own requirements. I had to have a GPA of 2.5. And then Yonsei has its own study abroad requirements. And you have to have a minimum of 2.5 out of a 4.0. If you're doing well in school, right, as long as you have something 2.5 or above, you can go abroad. And I know a lot of you guys were like saying that like, oh, I saw that like Yonsei acceptance rate is like 18% and da 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 da. I'm pretty sure that's for domestic students. Like if you search up any like US university or any university in general, it's like all over the world, and you type in acceptance rate, it's going to show you the acceptance rate for students who are applying to go there as like full-time students. When you're studying abroad, I want to say that the requirements are less rigorous. A 2.5 GPA in comparison to a 3.5 or a 4.0, that's like very like gracious, and like not even gracious, but it's like it's less rigorous than an 18% acceptance rate. An international student ability to get rejected to go to study abroad in Korea only happens with rare occasions. Like it rarely happens. Like you just have to make sure that you're good with like an academic standing, like you're not on probation, like you're not like failing your classes. Like you just have to make sure you're just like not down bad at school. Like if you're doing the bare minimum, I think doing the bare minimum will allow you to go to like study abroad in South Korea. You meet the requirements, literally all the requirements I just stated, depending on the route that you're taking to go abroad to South Korea into consideration, and that will let you know whether you're able to go abroad. But considering what I just shared, literally anyone can go abroad. The next question is, are Koreans friendly to foreigners? And I will say most of the time, almost all of the time, yes. If you say 안녕하세요, 감사합니다, 안녕, whatever, you say those 3 words, they're like, oh my God, you speak Korean. You speak Korean so good. I think they're just so appreciative that you took the time or that you have the ability to speak their language. Like speaking their language is like so huge. It's like a huge compliment to them. And because they have so much pride in their country, in their identity, in their language, that when you say something as little as 안녕하세요, they're like, she speaks Korean. That's so cool. And it's like, oh, that's so nice of you, but I have a long way to go with my Korean. But yes, they're generally nice to foreigners. I did not have, honestly, much negative experiences, and in the next video I'll be talking about that, so stay tuned. But no, like literally every time I got in a taxi, they be chatting to me in Korean, and they're like, wow, like you speak Korean so well, da da da. And again, they just gassing me. They are lying, but literally because I can say 안녕하세요, it's like such a huge thing. Yeah, keep that in mind. I think they really do love foreigners, and I think they definitely love the cultural exchange, that the small cultural exchange that happens, or the small moments of connections that happen while you guys are speaking. A lot of you guys asked me like, when should I go abroad, fall or spring? And honestly, that's up to you. I feel like do some research and figure out what happens during the seasons of spring and fall. For me personally, and I talked about it, the first video I've ever made on YouTube, how I got into Yonsei, and I'll link it up here. And I go into all the reasons why I chose the spring semester. Figure out like what's happening during each season, or like what season you want to see, or what months you want to see, or what events, what holidays that maybe you want to see in Korea or experience in Korea, or even concerts. I know some students like want to see certain idols or band groups or music groups or whatever. And then a lot of you guys ask me, do I need to know Korean before I go? No, you do not need to know Korean before you go. In all of my videos, I do suggest to take at least 1 semester before you go. Like if you're in college, try to take 1 semester before you go so that you can know enough Korean to maneuver the country without relying on anyone else. I'm not saying that you need to know Korean to maneuver. You can know Korean and still maneuver, but I feel like you're at an advantage when you can read certain things that another person cannot. I think if you're not enrolled in a university, honestly, just like learn the alphabet system. Like if you have that down, you're good. Like that's all you need. And then a lot of you guys ask me like, how do I make friends when I'm abroad in South Korea, like, or when I'm abroad in general? Literally, y'all, it happens naturally. I know that like it feels like you're at like ground one, because that's how I felt. I was like, oh my god, like I'm going through orientation again, I'm gonna have to make friends again. And like being an ambivert, like sure, I like to speak, I love to have conversations, but like the emotional process and like kind of like labor or work that goes into making friends is a lot. It's a lot. I don't know if y'all can agree, but it's a lot for me personally. I wasn't really looking forward to like doing it all over again, but like the friends that I made in South Korea, it just happened naturally. I didn't force anything. I didn't try to pretend to be someone I wasn't. Also, when you get there might be friend groups that already formed. You can try to immerse yourself in them, but if you're getting the vibe that they don't want you to be there, that means it's not for you. It's actually a good indicator, because you never want to be in a friend group or a space that people don't want you to be at. Be like, okay, cool. Like you will naturally find your people and your community, or even like your different friend groups, because I had different friend groups. I had like a black girl group that I loved. Like that was something super sacred to me. I had to have that as a black person in Korea, as a black woman in Korea, again, an ethnically homogenous country, or just like a homogenous country, period. So having my black friend group, my black girl friend group, having a friend group where I could go cafe hopping with, or friend groups that love museums, like basically having different friend groups for certain things was super like good for me. You make friends through classes, you make friends through attending events, orientation. Like it'll just happen naturally. Don't force anything, it'll happen naturally, and like be yourself. That's what I would tell you. Did you experience homesickness? Honestly, guys, I don't think I experienced homesickness. I think that the closest I got to experiencing homesickness was missing American brunch food, like missing American breakfast food. I miss my eggs and toast, my bacon, my waffles. No, my pancakes. I'm a pancakes girl over waffles any day. Hot take. Yeah, that was the only thing I missed. And I think that was the only thing I missed because I knew I was coming back home. I think near the ending, I was missing my immediate family. But because I knew I was coming back, I was like, oh, I'm gonna see you guys soon. That's pretty much like how I thought about it. The 5 months I was in Korea like gave me enough time to like dip my toes in like being independent, studying abroad, like living in a whole new country, like, and it was like just enough time for me personally. All right, y'all, so that's the ending of this video. It's a long video. I'm so sorry. But if you made it to the end, like here, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. If there is anything that I didn't address that you have questions about, let me know in the comment section down below. Stay tuned for the next video, because that's where I'll be sharing like my raw, unfiltered experience about like navigating identity abroad in South Korea, like being a black woman in South Korea, and also talking about my like the nuances of experiences I had living as a foreigner in South Korea. So if that's something that interests you, definitely subscribe, like this video, turn on the notification bell, because honestly I'm so excited to talk about that video. I love chatting with you guys. Like it's the best part of my day every time I get to sit here and I get to chat with you guys. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for taking precious time out of your day to sit here and watch this video. Good luck with your journey with studying abroad, and I hope that everything goes well. Bye!